All right. Welcome in, everybody, to the Week 7 rankings. I'm flying solo this week. Um, had some interesting matchups. I think majority of the time, though, this week that the top of the league took down some of the guys that have been ranked towards the bottom. We did have a couple big upsets and one that's still hanging in the balance between the Mud Biscuits and the Hormones with Clubs. Maybe I said matchup of the week, and here we are Sunday. All comes down to what Manny Machado and Ozuna do. So this is neck and neck in this matchup right now. I have the game on up above me, but I'm excited to see how this one finishes out. Definitely could affect the rankings after, but I don't really want to do this at 9 o'clock at night. So I'm getting this done now, but we roll. All right. On to this week's awards. I think we're going to start with the MVP of the week. This was a pretty easy. Well, there's a couple guys this week that I felt like had some really nice weeks, but ultimately it came down to Rafael Devers just continuing to keep his foot on the gas pedal. He hit 4 homers this week for the Ninja Chickens. Huge week for Devers. Probably the reason why Murph was the highest scoring team this week and had a great week. I think the rankings jump will you'll see that later in the video that Devers really helped him jump up in the rankings this week. As on to the injury of the week, we had a couple guys. I know Nico Horner had he missed games. That sucks. We had a couple big injuries, but the one I think that's probably the lengthiest, a guy that's been beat around by the injury bug, is Travis and Rhys Hoskins. Losing Rhys Hoskins here for probably the next 4 weeks. Same injury as what I suffered with Stephen Kwan. I know he's already lost Trey Turner. So this is a pretty substantial injury for the Raviolis. And I really think that the Raviolis are going to need help going forward, mainly because beat up. But I believe the Raviolis are projected to win this week. Let's see here. The Raviolis, I think they're getting one, if I remember right. No, they are not. Arlington taxpayers are doing it to them. My bad on that, Trav. Okay. On to the manager of the week. This is actually, let's do dud of the week. I know manager of the week is what I normally save for the last. Dud of the week, there were several guys that had terrible weeks. Ryan Mountcastle had a terrible week for me, 1 point this week. Nico Horner, I think, had a 0 burger, but that was partially due to injury. But I believe the number 1 overall pick in the draft was Ronald Acuna Jr., and he put up 2 points this week. This game is still going on. You got it on, but man, not getting at least double digits out of your number 1 overall pick is a tough look. Sam, though, is going to pull out the victory over me, and that is substantial for Sam because I did drop him in the rankings last week. I felt like his team was really going to need some step up in firepower. Long and behold, he plugs in Alex Bregman, and Alex Bregman gives him a huge week. But he picked up the slack that Acuna left behind and all of his other injuries that he suffered. So Alex Bregman was huge for Sam this week, but Acuna is ultimately the dud. And then we are going to give away the manager of the week, and I believe his first manager of the week is going to none other than Meme Lord, Cole Becker. He doesn't speak often, but when he does, everybody listens. Cole Becker gets the manager of the week this week. Had a great week. Great week here. And we're going to go to his team real quick. Sorry, my doorbell is. Let's go to flying solo, so it's a little tougher. Where are we at? Randy's ball is dropping 73.5. I believe the second highest, 74. He just jumped up even more. Yeah, really nice week from Randy's balls. Almost everybody in his lineup. Bang. Taylor Ward had a heck of a week too. 23 points. Perez had 12.5. Harper 10. Hernandez 8. Bellinger 10. Arozarena, and he did this without Austin Riley. So great step up here. Knocks the hitters down to 1 and 6. Randy's balls goes up to 2 and 5 on the comeback trail for the balls. All right. I think we will. I'm going to try and make this quick because I'm here by myself. Don't have any distractions. So we're flying through it this week. We're going to get into our rankings this week. Let's go back to the league overview. At number 12, we have, again, back in the basement, the Holmes Hitters. Didn't have necessarily an awful week. Not necessarily an awful week, but not a great week. You know, some of these guys down here just have yet to really turn it on for them. No one double. I mean, yeah, Olson's kind of on a comeback trail. Diaz had a decent week. Seager, that just updated literally right in the middle of this. So forget everything I just said. But still, not very many extra base hits from this team. If it wasn't for Olson and Seager slugging some homers, really your only guy that had a nice week was O'Neill Cruz with 3 doubles. You know, you can kill him with singles, but you know, Yandy Diaz really didn't supply any extra base hits this week. But you know, I just this team, I think that they're really kind of donezo. I mean, 1 and 6. I mean, I've seen crazier things before. I mean, I've seen some crazy fantasy comebacks, but I just don't think this team has the firepower to come back and win enough games to sneak into the playoffs. Maybe they can play the role of spoiler if some of these guys get hot, but it just hasn't been looking great. Okay. On to number 11. Number 11 this week. Down 1 spot. We have the Broken Bat Bombers and Parker Lutz. A really bad week for the Broken Bat Bombers. They're going to fall below 500 for the first time. And Ryan's team squeaks out a win. It wasn't pretty. There was nothing pretty about this matchup. Like I said, Parker doesn't lose Nico Horner after 3 at-bats. They're, you know, absolutely could have been, you know, the Broken Bat Bombers come out here. But this team, it just is not that high scoring of a team. And I do not, I mean, his team has really been these top 3. Corbin Carroll has disappointed greatly this year. You know, William Contreras and Jose Altuve have been very solid, and Abrams seems to pop every once in a while. But I'm out on this team. I think this team is going to have a tough time picking up wins going forward. And I think that this team is probably ranked where they belong. They've overperformed so far, in my opinion. Just don't see the big power numbers from any of these guys. I mean, yeah, you might have some extra base hits, but I'm out on this team. That's why they're coming in at 11. All right. We're going to go back to the league at number 10. Up 2 spots. Up 2 spots. We have the biggest jump. Randy's Balls, the manager of the week. I talked a little bit about this team already, but we're going to dive into them just a little bit more. Nice week, like I said, all around. Rosarina had a decent week. Bellinger 12, Ward 19. I think that this isn't updated to what it's supposed to. Why is this not updated all the way? Yeah, not sure what's going on. I'm pretty sure he has 20. I think he hit a homer today or something. Yeah, just a great week all around. A lot of his overproduced, and he's going to move to 2-5, taking down the Holmes hitters. I think that this team has the potential to claw back. They're going to really need to turn it on here as we get into the dog days of summer or the heat of the summer. We're getting into June, but if they can have a good month of June, go 3-1 or something, this team definitely is looking like they have the potential to continue on and sneak into the playoffs. I don't think it, but I think if any team that's down here, in these bottom three, I think Randy's Balls has the firepower to do so. A lot of underperformers so far this year, but as the summer heats up, the bats heat up, and I think Cole and Randy's Balls have the ability to do that. All right, we are on to number 9. Number 9 this week, staying the same, is Andrew's bum shoulder. Andrew's bum shoulder is getting absolutely shit stomped this week by the Ninja Chickens. This team's injured. We've already stated that. But this team's going to fall below 500 for the first time. And I don't know. The jury is still out on this squad. I have been humbled by them a little bit this year because I was definitely out on this team at the beginning of the year, but I feel like I've came around a little bit on this team and have continued to kind of leave them in the middle towards the middle to end of the rankings every week. I still don't like this team. Besides, Henderson and Rodriguez, I think he's got a lot of question marks everywhere else. Albies, question mark every week. Diaz, question mark every week. McMahon feels a big question mark. Riley Green's a question mark. I do feel like if you can get Dansby Swanson healthy, get him in there every week, this team looks a lot different. Oh, what a catch! What a catch! Okay, sorry. That was a hell of a catch by Jared Kelnick up against the wall. All right. Going on to number 8. Number 8. We have staying the same. Losing this week. Oh no. What did I do? Let me get rid of this. Okay. Wrong button. Number 8. We have Trav's Raviolis. Going to suffer a loss this week. Didn't necessarily have a terrible week by any means, but just wasn't enough to get it done. This team's going to drop to 2-5. Judge had a huge week. He's definitely came around. Trav getting shit on about Aaron Judge. He's had back-to-back great weeks. But ultimately fell up short, mainly because he suffered another big injury. I think Trav's team has fallen apart a little bit. As you can see, he's got Trey Turner, Michael Conforto Conforto and Reese Hoskins all on the IL. And I know Schwarber was hurt the week before. So Trav has not necessarily has been a little bit bitten by the injury bug, but I think that this team still has it in them. You know, I respect this team anytime I have to face them, but I think that this team, if one's healthy, they're very much, have the ability to get things right and get things going in the right direction. Okay, on to number 7. Staying at number 7 as well. We have Sam Sluggers taking down the Rally Birds this week. Really did not have a good week again, and lost Max Muncy. Actually, I think he lost it right in the middle of the week. But like I said earlier, Acuna was the dud of the week. Still going to get a win here, mainly because Alex Bregman went berserko mode. He hit 3 homers. I think Monday, Tuesday, he was already at like 16 points. So I was pretty much screwed from Monday on. But this team, this team is another team that's been bitten by the injury bug. He has an empty bench spot. And I've had to text him the past couple weeks to change his lineup. I texted him this week to change his lineup because he still had Wilson Contreras in there as of Monday morning. So if the league wants to belittle him a little bit, and I was doing that out of kindness, because I knew he was facing me this week and didn't want to get, the situation where he left an IL guy in his lineup and I, score 50 points and win. That'd be a little bit of fraudulent winning on my part. I made the call. I texted him. I said, hey, you might want to switch your lineup this week. You still have Wilson Contreras in there. And Alex Bregman, he puts him in, and he absolutely shits on me. But that's okay. We're okay dropping a week. But like I said, this team is definitely, the most injured team. Has had the biggest injuries so far this year, and they got bit by another one this week. I'm not sure how long Muncy is out. Right oblique strain, so I would say probably 2 weeks he's out. So that's a tough loss for the Sam Sluggers. Okay, moving on to number 7. Also staying the same. There was not much changing in this week's rankings. We have the Arlington Taxpayers, who beat Trav's Raviolis. Had a nice week this week. Can't go understated. Volpe, nice week. Bohm, nice week. Jimenez had a nice homer today. And Marcus Semien hit a bombs this week. This team is going to move to 3 and 4, clawing its way back to 500. And like I said, this team we were out on a long time. The jury was definitely out on this team because they just had so many injuries that affected this team. And now we see when they're healthy, they're putting up a solid amount of points. I definitely think if they can pull off a win again next week, they could be in the running for a big jump because this team has looked solid as of late. Not necessarily the biggest names on this team, but solid players all around. If you could get some production out of Castellanos, and Freeman really had a down week. Those guys have solid weeks. This is a tough team to beat because I see these 2 top guys here is double-digit scores every week. Nick Castellanos is or Alex Bohm has been very solid, but ultimately this team's still going to stay kind of in the middle of the rankings. But I think this team has some potential. Absolutely has some potential. Okay, moving on to number 6. That was number 6. I'm sorry. Yes, that was number 6. My bad. Moving on to number 5, we have staying the same as well. Did I not talk about a team? Talked about Trav. I think I skipped Clayton. Clayton was at number 9. Clayton was at number 9. I'm sorry. Andrew's bum shoulder, not going back. But you're at, so the ranking so far has been is at 12. The Bombers at 11. Randy's balls at 10. The bum shoulders at 9. Trav's raviolis at 8. The sluggers at 7. The taxpayers at 6. And the Ryan's rallying raw coming back in at 5. Let's see here. Let me go back to the screen. They squeak out a win as well. This team jumps above 500. Yeah, this team, nothing really jumps off the page this week. Their highest scoring guy was the catcher from Oakland, the Langoliers. Teams continue to win. I still like the top 2 in this lineup quite a bit. And I think that Morel and Westberg, this team has some boppers. Not necessarily big names. They're two-headed monster at the top. Didn't really have a great week. It was carried by the bottom of the lineup. And this team came out of the bottom of the league. I believe they were really low to start the year, and has continued to win. They moved over 500, and Ryan's team right now, as it sits, would be in the playoffs if we started this week. So, like I said, not a great week for Ryan, but it was good enough to get a win, and that's all that matters at the end of the week. All right, moving on to number 4. We have the Hormones with Clubs dropping 1 spot here. The Clubs had, well, this one's still up in the air. So the Clubs are, where are we here? Down by 2. Our first tie this week. If Machado doubles, Zuna doesn't do anything the rest of the week. This was the matchup of the week. I told you that going into it last week. But really, this team was carried by Ohtani, and Ramirez had some really nice weeks. But the rest of the lineup was mediocre at best, with a really terrible week out of Manny Machado. I think the Clubs, they only fall at 5-2. They're in a very nice spot as it sits. But I think he would ultimately love a little bit more production out of Manny Machado. He hasn't been very good lately. Christian Walker, I feel like, has struggled a little bit. And then he's kind of searching in this 6th spot. I don't think the Clubs are necessarily in trouble of falling out of the upper echelon. But, concern with Machado struggling. He has not been good all year, but you really hope that Ohtani and Ramirez really kind of carry the load for this team. And a couple of these other guys have solid weeks. He's going to be a tough out every week. And so, he drops a spot here, falls to 5-2. But ultimately, this team deserves to be in the top 4, and is a heck of a team going into the playoffs if we were to in the season this week. All right, falling from number 2 to number 3, the Rally Birds also fall to 5-2. Just a bad week. Was not very happy with Ryan Mountcastle. Marte didn't carry for me this week like he had been. Just kind of a down week all around. We were due for one, to be honest. I think we kind of had one. It was a semi-bad week whenever we faced Parker and the Broken Bat Bombers. Um, but you know, we have a tough stretch coming up here. I believe we kind of have the top of the league coming up the next couple weeks. So it's really going to be a test for the Rally Birds if they are who they think they are. Um, and I I think that this team uh, really needs one more. I would love to get Stephen Kwan back, to be honest. Um, Take out Mountcastle. Brian De La Cruz has been solid. Uh, mediocre week all around, and nobody popped off. Then you had the dud of Ryan Mountcastle, who was awful for me. 1 for 16 is weak. But the Rally Birds, like I said, are 5-2 now. 3 games over 500, and they're going into the toughest stretch of the schedule. So we'll see what it holds going forward. All right. We then have number 2. Their second appearance at the number 2 spot. The Ninja Chickens, who will climb above 500, dropping almost 90 points this week. We already talked about Rafael Devers hitting 5 bombs. I'm sure that's fun. As a Red Sox fan, seeing that pop up on your phone every single time. Kyle Tucker continues to rake. Adley Rutschman had a huge week. Jarren Duran had a huge week for the Red Sox. This team's top. Well, I consider Devers, Rutschman, and Kyle Tucker his top 3. And Adolis Garcia hasn't really been the same Adolis Garcia that we've seen as of late. I believe he had a solid week this week. Yeah, he hit 3 bombs this week on his bench. Maybe even more than that. No, he hit 3 bombs on his bench. So he could have very well plugged in, left Garcia in there for Santander. But this is not a team I want to face on a weekly basis right now. Devers, Rutschman, Tucker, Garcia all seem to be clicking, and he's getting production out of some of these guys that I don't necessarily think that Murph was even expecting to get production out of. This team is only 4-3, but dang, do not want to run into this team on a weekly basis. And the Ninja Chickens are at number 2. And that means the Mud Biscuits are at number 1 again this week. The Mud Biscuits, Betts really carried the load. Arenado has come around. And Paredes had another solid week. Was a little bit of a down week for the Mud Biscuits. You would like to see a little bit more production out of Marcell Ozuna and Vladdy Jr. But Jr. is really not putting up the homer numbers that we expected. Don't know if that's he's just hitting the ball on the ground too much. What the case is, I want to see what he's hitting. It can't be good. He's hitting 280 with 4 homers right now. So he's hitting actually well. I believe Arenado is also hitting like 260 something, 270. What's he hitting on the year? 275. The Mud Biscuits continue to roll. They're 6-1, 5 games over 500. As long as this one holds true, we have, Machado still playing in this game, and Ozuna still playing in this game. So a lot can change. But the Mud Biscuits have continued to roll, and I think we can kind of put the fraudulent charges behind them for now. They are 6-1, the best in the league, and the clubs and the Rally Birds are going to have to. I think I play him next week, so we're really going to have to stick it to him and put our money where our mouth is. All right, that wraps up the weekly rankings. I will jump ahead to next week. Yeah, we have a big one here. the Rally Birds and the Mud Biscuits are going at it. Great matchup. Looking forward to that one. Probably, let's see here. Yeah, that's going to be matchup of the week. The Rally Birds and the Mud Biscuits have kind of been at the top of the league, the two highest scoring teams in the league. And, I think that this one is probably going to be the matchup that comes down to Sunday night again. I think that this one's going to be a tight one. The Rally Birds are looking for a bounce back, need a bounce back after a poor showing this week. But we're not worried. We've had solid year. But so have the Mud Biscuits. So this is my matchup of the week: the Rally Birds and the Mud Biscuits. Raviolis taking on Randy's Balls. This should be a fun one. This team, the Balls are, they're trying to claw back to 500. This is an opportunity to notch one in the win column if they can do it. I think that these teams are really similar where they have been at this year. I'd love to see a tight one to Sunday night. And then the Holmes Hitters are going to take on Sam Sluggards. I'm taking this as my upset of the week. I am going to take the Hitters here. Sam's luck is going to kind of run out. I think he falls back to 500 next week, and the Hitters, get to 2-6. Not out of the question that a comeback could happen, but the Hitters, I think this is my upset. The Hitters are going to take down the Sluggers. Then we have this is a fun matchup. Ryan's Rallying Raw versus the Ninja Chickens. The Ninja Chickens look to stay hot and take down Ryan. I'm going to take the Ninja Chickens in this one because they just have looked too good as of late. But I think Ryan will give them a run for their money at some point in the week where it'll be tight. But I'm taking the Ninja Chickens. The Broken Bat Bombers and the Arlington Taxpayers. I think that this is one the Taxpayers must win. If they are who we think they are, I think the Taxpayers got to win this one. I've said I'm out on the Bombers, but they are only one game under 500 and have stayed kind of they've stayed. I mean, they're 8th. They're kind of in the running right there of teams that should make the playoffs. They are low scoring at 3-3, but I think this team, or I think the Taxpayers should win this one. I hope they win this one because I want to, according to my rankings, but I expect a tight one in Arlington next week. And then finally, we have the Hormones with Clubs versus Andrew's Bum Shoulder. I'm going to take the Clubs in this one as well. Kind of picking all favorites besides I think that the Holmes Hitters take down the Sam Sluggers. But back with the Clubs, I think the Clubs, are looking to bounce back too, getting a tough matchup. I mean, ultimately, I'm not high on the Bum Shoulders, but I still think that this is a team that you have to show up every week in order to beat. And the Clubs are going to probably do that, and I think take down Clayton next week. As always, I'll try and have the memes out tomorrow morning. It might be a little crazy. The farmers are in the fields, and there might need to be some replants turned in at work. So I might be a little busy in the morning, but I will try and get that out tomorrow morning if possible. Flying solo, never my favorite thing to do, just because I got to click around so much, and it's kind of confusing when you're clicking back and forth, looking at comments. There wasn't any. I think we only have one viewer tonight. But I hope you guys are still enjoying watching these. I'm still probably going to put them out because everybody loves a good rankings video. But ultimately, that's it for me. I will see you all next week. We'll see you. Bye.